Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. We do that as often as we can, usually several times per week. And so, if you are looking for coaching, would love to be of assistance to you in any way that I can. And we continue to do that through one-on-one sessions. So feel free to reach out at PO Perception on Twitter and or in the About Me section of the YouTube page. Either one will lead you into conversations with me or a member of my team, and then we can go from there. The first thing to look at is signs of burnout. So the first thing you got to, in coping with burnout, you got to do is realize that it comes in a cycle. So you think you have things handled, and then ultimately you begin to feel overwhelmed. Your ability to focus, your ability to stay committed and connected to the things you set out to do, it gets off base because you haven't identified your core stressors. When you begin to identify your core stressors, that is the things that are causing you to feel like your life is out of balance or the things that you need or want are not coming together. It is in that moment where you begin to have power again, because then you're making decisions based upon the things that ultimately lead you in a positive, meaningful, and long term direction. When you begin to understand how to do that, then and only then do you get to a place where the decisions you're making make longer term sense for your own benefit. So then we can continue to kind of go to understanding what your stress is the next important thing, and getting real with yourself. Look, just because you think you have something handled, just because you think you have something on lockdown, just because you think that you know what you're doing with something emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever have you, doesn't necessarily mean that you do, and it also doesn't necessarily mean that in the end you are ready to deal with, on an emotional level, the things that life needs you to deal with. Sometimes we overvalue our own ability, we overvalue what can come together and make the most sense in terms of dealing with things. Giving your stressors a physical release is also a great way to balance things out. So, this physical release piece is valuable because when you change your physical state, you can also change your emotional state relatively quickly and effectively. When we know that ultimately making a decision from a released standpoint, a relaxed standpoint, gives us more power, we're actually setting ourselves up for some degree of failure when we don't do that on a continual basis. Make sure that you understand your worth. Most of the time, burnout happens because we define our worth based upon what we do, what we accomplish, how many people we help or serve, how we relate with other people, and the challenges they're in. When you have that particular problem, ultimately there's a lot of difficulty with overextension, burnout, and other less than friendly situations. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a bad space if you're doing that, but it does mean you got to kind of reevaluate, hey, does this really work for me? Am I getting to a place where life is more manageable or less manageable? Do I know how to make decisions that are in my best interest in stressful situations? The next thing is understand that it is imperative that you have a support system in place. Now, that can be friends, that can be family, that can be individuals of a religious nature, that can be sponsors if you're in a recovery program. But having a support system that is there for you continually, that you can tap into at any given time, is imperative when you're trying to deal with a level of burnout. Knowing that these individuals are there, knowing that you have an accountability partner to help you understand the ways in which you need life to come together in a more meaningful manner, and also understanding your value as it relates to your own recovery is super important and extremely a good focal point to have. When we have that focal point, we don't necessarily know how to move forward in those situations at all times, but gaining understanding of how to move forward in that way is also super important for a number of reasons. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.